John Elway's longtime business partner and good friend died this morning, a little more than 3 days after suffering a head injury when he fell from a golf cart. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kim Christensen.
I'm Tom Green. 9 News has independently confirmed that Elway was driving that cart when Jeff Sperbeck was injured. The incident occurred in a gated golf community in Southern California, where Elway has a home. Kevin Vaughn from 9 News Investigates is joining us now with the latest on what we've learned. Kevin?
Tom and Kim, there's still a lot we don't know about what happened. Here's what we do know. John Elway and Jeff Sperbeck were longtime business partners in a winery and other ventures. They had been at the Stagecoach Music Festival in Indio, where the performers included Jelly Roll, Sturgill Simpson, Nelly, and others. A little after 7 p.m. California time on Saturday, Elway and Sperbeck were returning to the Madison Club in La Quinta, about 2 miles away. Elway owns a home in that gated golf community. Something went terribly wrong, and Sperbeck fell off the back of the golf cart Elway was driving. He died early Sunday morning at a hospital in Palm Springs. He was 62. The Riverside County Sheriff's Office told 9 News it did not learn of the accident until Monday. It has since opened an investigation that is ongoing. We're continuing to look into this, and we'll be back with more when we have it. Live in the studio, Kevin Vaughn, 9 News.
Yeah, we know there's a lot of questions about when police were called and 911 calls, and you're trying to get answers on some of that, Kevin.
Definitely, we're continuing to look into it.
All right, thank you.
Our Broncos insider Mike Kliss joins us now with more on Jeff Sperbeck and the relationship between Sperbeck and John Elway.
Goes back to the early 90s when John was still a player. He was never his agent, as people think of as an agent. That was always Marvin Demoff, who handled his contracts. But Sperbeck was it was his marketing rep. He was his business partner, and they were in so many ventures together. Their relationship grew into a close friendship to the point, I do believe, I remember at one point that Elway has said that Jeff Sperbeck was his best friend that he had. And they had the Seven Cellars wine. They actually, Sperbeck co-founded that with Elway. Elway Restaurants that people are familiar with around the Denver area. Sperbeck was a co-founder and owner of the restaurant and many other ventures. And so, and then when the Broncos would go on the West Coast in California, Sperbeck was always there right next to John Elway. Sperbeck lived in San Clemente, and he and Elway were very close, and Sperbeck would be on the sidelines with them after the game. He'd be up in the booth, during the games at times.
And John Elway wasn't his only client. He did some of this sort of marketing and agent work for others as well. He
did, and he was an agent. He was an agent to over 100 players and coaches and executives. I got to know him with Greg Knapp. Remember, he had the tragic fall. Yes. He was a bicyclist when a distracted driver was on a cell phone and hit, and Knapp had a fatal brain injury.
The assistant coach.
He was a quarterback coach for Peyton Manning. When Peyton Manning was here, and so he passed away. And Sperbeck was very compassionate during that time. I worked with them. They put the funeral arrangements. They started the Coach Knapp Foundation, where all the coaches now run the stadium's stairs, which was Knapp's pregame routine. It raises money for distracted driver awareness, which you can imagine with the cell phones today. That's as big a problem as any out there on the road.
Well, as far as what happened,
he was a good man that was well respected.
Very gentleman.
Yes.
And like Greg Knapp, suddenly gone. So we will continue to look into this story further, but also into that relationship even more. But thanks for shedding some light on who Jeff Sperbeck was and the role he played in the lives of others, including John Elway. Thanks, Mike.
You got it.
Right now, our Weather Impact team is tracking the chance for severe storms in the next hour or so.
Yeah, could see some rain, maybe some hail in the metro area. So let's get over to Kathy Sabin for a look at what's on deck. Kathy?
Hi there. We have a cool front that's moving over northern Colorado, and we do expect some scattered showers, maybe a bit of thunder and lightning, and this will happen off and on between now and midnight. The severe weather threat remains pretty low for this evening, but there are some areas across northeastern Colorado that may see some small hail as this front rolls through into an air mass, which is a bit milder than what we're seeing here in Denver at 68 degrees. 60 in Fort Collins and 56 in Greeley. Winds starting to pick up out of the north and northeast as that front slides south. The chance for rain will be increasing over the next few hours, then tapering off after midnight. So beneficial rain coming in with a cool front that is just now moving over northern Colorado. Little thunder and lightning on our radar. We can see a few showers from Fort Morgan out to Sterling. They are tracking toward the south and the east. And there's a bit of snow in the northern and central mountains. Snow level right about 8,000 feet. We do expect the chance for some scattered showers off and on tonight, off and on until about midnight before things start to settle down and skies will clear overnight. We're on our way to a cooler day tomorrow, a cloudy day tomorrow with a good chance of more rain. Temperatures will be sliding into the 40s after midnight. Weather headlines include the mountain snow forecast, the cooler weather for Thursday, and of course the timing and impact of storms we're tracking for tonight.
A Colorado teenager now off to prison for his role in the killing of 2 innocent people in 2 separate violent encounters. One of the victims had just moved to Colorado to try to escape violence in the Middle East. Another was a teenage boy at a mall.
The suspect was just 16 at the time of the killings, but he's going to prison after pleading guilty to an adult court. 9 News investigative reporter Jeremy Hohola was in the courtroom this morning.
Yeah, one of the victims here immigrated to the United States from Iraq in search of a better life. The other victim was a teenage boy who had dreams of becoming a barber. The murder defendant, who is now an adult in the eyes of the law, is off to prison for 30 years. Before he came to the United States, Ahmed Zainuldin was studying nursing. With his family, he escaped violence in Iraq and moved to the Denver area with dreams of making a safe life here. Within less than a year of moving to Colorado, Zainuldin was gunned down in 2023 as teenagers were stealing his car in Aurora. His parents spoke through an interpreter at court.
And the father said they were happy of immigrating to the U.S. after all the crises they have been through, and they were wishing for a better life, but now they lost their son.
11 days after Zainuldin was killed, a group of teens fatally shot 15-year-old Rafael Velin at the Southland Mall during a robbery. His parents also spoke at court.
Él fue un niño muy deseado y tuve la oportunidad y la dicha de tenerle, aunque sea poco tiempo. Yo lo amo y lo amaré.
Today, one of the murder suspects, Devonte Rogers Broadus, was sentenced to 20 years and then another 30 years for his role in the deaths of Zainuldin and Velin, respectively. He'll serve both terms at the same time, essentially getting 30 years in prison.
He thinks and believes that they shouldn't be combined together because that means one of the victims didn't get his what he deserves.
Rogers Broadus was 16 at the time, but pleaded guilty to adult murder charges. He read a statement in court saying, "My intentions were not to harm anyone. I do have a lot of remorse in my heart." For the parents, the sentence is not enough.
Bueno, en primera instancia, nada nos puede devolver la vida de nuestro hijo. Cada día que pasa, lo extrañamos más.
A teenage girl has also pleaded guilty in the death of Zainuldin. She got 2 years in juvenile lockup. Another 17-year-old involved in that case pleaded guilty. He'll be sentenced next month. Live in the newsroom, Jeremy Hohola, 9 News.
Well, those parents are serving a life sentence.
Yeah, forever.
Always. Thank you. Thanks, Jeremy. The NFL is taking action over the prank call made to Shedeur Sanders over the draft weekend. The NFL fined the Atlanta Falcons $250,000 and the defensive coordinator, Jeff Sperbeck, $100,000 over leaking Sanders' phone number. It was Sperbeck's son, Jax, who made that call and later apologized. Sanders got the call, allegedly, from the GM of the New Orleans Saints as he waited to be picked in the draft.